Hello there, you beautiful people. My name is Willow, and welcome back to Supreme Commander Force Alliance Forever, where today we're going to be getting into a 3v3 played on the MapGen. Without further ado, let's go ahead and get in to introducing our players. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. Starting with Team 1 and our first player, a blue UEF by the name of Arma473, going first land. Then we're going to be moving on down further to the east to a blue Seraphim and the designer of the map generator. His name is Neuroxus, and he has gone first land on this naval map. Then we have ourselves a pink Seraphim going by the name of Thurnis Haley, and he is, of course, going first land as well. And that's all for Team 1. Let's go ahead and start introducing Team 2. We're going to be starting with the red UEF going by the name of Icy Nightmare, the most casted man of Willow cast. And we can see right here on the back of the UEF, we have the weird symbols on the back of it. And then we're going to be moving on to the best faction and cyan, so best color player, Willow's Duality, going first land. Then we have ourselves a purple Cybran by the name of JD342 going first land, and that is it for Team 2. That is everybody introduced. Now let's look at the map. It is, of course, MapGen, only around 1700, you know, reclaim on the map, so there's not much to talk about. There is a lot of naval choke points though, so Navy is going to be important but kind of difficult to work around. You're kind of separated from the other half of the map, so we're going to see a lot of conflicts right here and right here between naval forces, because going through the choke points is going to be difficult as all get out. But that is enough blabbering on about the map. Let's see what these players intend to do. We have everybody kind of just normally going for early expands, people grabbing their hydrocarbons if they have them, and in general, just some play towards getting to the Navy. Everybody's queuing up in naval factories. And there's a lot of mexes in the water you have to grab. Mexes in the water, of course, much safer than mexes on land, but come with that debuff of not being able to get mass storage around them. So if you upgrade them, they're kind of just capped to base resource collection rates. Our first naval factory is going to be finished up by Icy Nightmare, and he's already working on his second as we speak, going for a Tiger Shark class submarine for the UEF. That's the first unit he's deciding to build. Meanwhile, a bit of expansion coming out from our players on the eastern side for Team 2. Team 1 also doing quite well on the expansion front. We have a relatively well-balanced game, 93%, not much higher than that in general. So a balanced game overall. We have a rating range from about 1,000 to 1,700 rating. And of course, we have a lot of players trying to get control of the Navy and get control of the air. That's where the game is going to be mainly played out. Not much use for land units other than for the Seraphim and Aeon players, who of course have things like Zoes and Auroras. We have some early Zoe spam out of Neuroxus making its way down south, moving fast. Walking fast? I can't say walking fast, it's hovering fast. Making my way down south, hovering fast, blah blah blah. But yes, he has a constant stream of Zoes coming out from two separate factories, heading straight down towards this opening. Of course, a lot of terrain makes things difficult. You have trouble getting naval access. There are a few points like this one here for you to come into the water or out of it. And the Zoes are starting to build up over here. Willow's Duality putting his comm into the water already. Icy Nightmare using his comm aggressively, already moving on to the main island of Team 1. For Team 2, we have expansion out from JD342 to this top right-hand corner of his island. There was apparently some kind of Inji war. I don't even remember what's going on, but I won it. Oh, man. So, Zooies starting to make their move, going to be able to fire upon the engineer out here for Willow's Duality, which gets reclaimed. So the NG Wars were ultimately lost by Willow's Duality, and the Zooies are incoming. Do we have any kind of tanks? We have a few tanks out from Willow's Duality, a few Aurora going to start making their way over. The Comm of Willow's Duality also starting to move this way, so that can be marginally important. One of the early naval factories for Willow's Duality, though, going to be going down momentarily, and that's really going to hurt. JD trying to get some reclaim down onto the frigate there. Might even try and get in range to do some reclaim onto these Zooies, but I'm not sure if that's going to work. Does lower a Zooie down to sub 100 HP. And we have a bit of an air fight going on above. The frigate being forced back by the gun of Willow's Duality's Comm, and these Zooies are starting to make landfall, moving in towards the base of JD 342, going to be able to get some damage done in an ideal world. Is dealing with fighting an Aurora, which is being microed probably a little bit too much, but is being microed. And is this going to be killed off in time? We have both comms of JD 342 and Willow's Duality making their way over to try and help clean this up. We have hunters being produced to try and stop these Zooies from getting critical damage. They are going to pick off some of these mass extractors, or some of these power generators, possibly even catch a mass extractor if they're lucky. A lot of the power going down for JD. Is that going to throw him into a power stall? It does not look like it. He overbuilt power, which is lucky for him, but he's going to lose a hydrocarbon as well, so that's going to be a bit of a problem. There is a early frigate pressure out from Icy Nightmare towards the factories of Neuroxis. There are submarines now out on the field for Furnace Haley, which will be able to threaten these frigates. The frigates, of course, right next to some naval factories. They're going to finish up their own frigates, so that is going to be dealt with pretty easily, but is killing off the assistance for these factories, so is going to get a tiny amount of damage done. The question is that damage worth the amount of reclaim that's going to be left here? And I'm not sure if that's the case. We have Torpedo on the way for JD 342, T2 finished for Arma, and those are the only upgrades that have started or finished this game. There are frigates over here just constantly firing at air units, interceptors dodging shots relatively effectively, not any of them going down just yet. These frigate anti-air guns a little bit better against T1 bombers than they are against the interceptor counterparts. A large group of Zooies now making its way over towards the west, towards Icy Nightmare from Furnace Haley. Let's go ahead and check in on the sub 10 minute, but close to 10 minute economies. We have about looks like around 122 mass a second, or around 100 mass a second for both teams, really. Overall mass generation, about a 2,000 mass generation lead over to Team 1. And in general, let's go look at Reclaim. Reclaim has done a little bit better for Team 2, sitting at almost 2,500 versus just 2,000 for Team 1. And that is the situation we have right now economically. There is a large push of naval units and Zooies now out from Team 1 towards Team 2. The naval factory over here that's upgrading to T2 for Willow's Duality is under threat. There's also some naval forces and artillery pieces coming in over here to try and threaten the two forward naval facilities for Willow's Duality. I think this frigate might have a chance to finish. It depends on how much damage per second is poured into it. A reinforcing frigate for Willow's Duality shows up, is going to take some of the damage away from this factory that's trying to finish off this frigate. I don't know if the frigate's going to finish. It's going to be close, but the frigate doesn't finish. All they needed to do was cut the red tape and finish the paint job. But it was not in time, unfortunately, for Willow's Duality. Going to be losing that frigate. And reinforcements from Icy Nightmare have managed to drive back this incursion from Team 1. Is going to be able to be used to keep this from becoming a critical issue. T2 has finished for Willow's Duality on the naval front and is building a Vesper that's going up quite quickly. A Vesper can help quite a bit with this situation. Aurora's showing up, just doing everything possible to try and stall out this naval force. Another frigate shows up for Willow's Duality, gonna go down, but brings an enemy frigate quite low. These Aurora might be able to pick off that frigate if they're lucky, but no, not quite. And that naval factory has already been replaced, but now there are submarines here, and that's going to be a bit of an issue. The Vesper coming out, I don't know if a Vesper can deal with 4 T1 submarines, but today I guess we're going to find out. As the Vesper starts to approach these submarines, they kill off another T1 naval factory for Willow's Duality. Is that one also going to be replaced? Repair order given by engineers over here for Willow's Duality onto that factory. A bunch of land units over here for Icy Nightmare. We haven't really been talking about it, but he has a lot of land now produced for himself over here on this western flank. Doesn't look like it's managed to do any major amounts of damage. Has been all the way around back here, but hasn't quite managed to stop T2 mexes from being built by Arma 473. We have 342 and 473 in the same cast. That's a little bit awkward, a little bit weird. I'm gonna mix it up at least once, I promise. A large naval engagement over here is going to go horribly for Icy Nightmare. Gonna lose all 5 of these frigates. Even if he starts running away right now, I'm pretty sure all 5 frigates die. There's not enough space in between these units, and maybe 1 frigate makes it out alive, but that is an unfortunate situation. The Vesper out from Willow's Duality out here trying to get some damage done to these submarines. I don't know if this is a fight that you take with the Vesper or not. It is definitely seeming like there's going to be a lot of reinforcements, so Willow's Duality decides to fall back from that naval engagement with the Vesper. And we have T2 land finishing up for JD342. It is an interesting choice to go for the land play on this map, especially as a Cybern player. All he has access to right now are going to be Wagners. If he manages to get to T3 and get out some bricks, that could be very dangerous. Bricks aren't going to do much to the enemy naval forces, but you will be able to walk them up onto this island in particular and really hamper the efforts of Turnus Haley. That's assuming that your units can get through the enemy naval forces. It does look like the teams have had a bit of parity in the fact that both sides have 1 player who's not really in the naval game. A Navy factory has finished for Arma 473, but has not quite managed to get that naval factory producing any units. We haven't seen any frigates or anything of the such out of Arma at this point. We do have Wagners now underwater, not able to do anything about these Zooies. We have some T1 land spam and a frigate over here for Willow's Duality to try and stop these Zooies from causing any major damage. Turnus Haley continues to send them forward. A lot of Zooies going to die here. They may be able to pick off the frigate if Willow's Duality is not micro properly. Is he going to micro properly? Nope, he's not. The Aurora goes down. Focusing the Auroras might have been the wrong call. The frigate, of course, able to one-shot these artillery pieces, and is going to be a lot more powerful in that situation. Vesper's now building up at the choke. Looks like some reclaiming engineers going to be biting the bullet at the hand of a destroyer as Neuroxis breaches Tech 2 Navy, and we still have a bunch of units out over here for Icy Nightmare, but a fire base has been built up by Arma and is going to be able to be a defensive stronghold for Team 1. There are some tactical missiles being launched out from the base over here. Where are these being launched from? Are they being launched from the comm? They are. Arma 473 has tactical missiles on the comm, and he's getting assistance. He's building those missiles rapidly and is throwing them out in all kinds of directions. A destroyer is about to complete at this factory, but a tactical missile is coming in, and that destroyer is going to be on no health. It might finish. Depends on how badly Willow's Duality is stalling. Is it going to finish? Can this factory survive? Oh no, the destroyer got killed by the tactical missile. And now this factory is pretty much dead as the next tactical missile comes in, and Willow's Duality loses Tech 2 on that factory. It's going to be painful. You're going to have to get a replacement up for that. He does have a few Vespers built up. That's going to help him out quite a little bit. We have a large push now out from JD342 over to this northern island, and we have some PD being thrown up by Thurnis Haley. JD crests onto the island, has his Wagners right here. They're not moving onto the island. I'd like to see them move up, get in here, deal some economic damage. JD taking tons of damage himself as these Zooies are pelting him, and as the PD are pelting him, he's going to die. He's just dead. As JD miscalculates the amount of damage his Kong can tank and deal, he goes down to Thurnis Haley here at the 15-minute mark, and we're gonna have to see who that base goes to. It's either going to Willow's Duality or Icy Nightmare. I, of course, hosted this game. All of my games are hosted on full share. It is given over to Icy Nightmare, but he immediately transfers it over to Willow's Duality, who needs to start getting these factories producing something to do something. And I just now realized JD has all T1 mechs. He hasn't gotten a single T2 Cybern mechs. You can click here, you can see all of the ones that were built up by JD T1, and that's going to be a bit brutal. Aurora is now showing up over here along with Vespers. Vesper is able to take out one of these naval factories. We also have Riptides out from Icy Nightmare, these high DPS, tanky, floating death machines for the UEF. Very short range, but once they get in range, they deal a lot of damage. These Riptides getting into the backline, going to be able to kill off possibly multiple Tech 2 mass extractors. If that happens, it's going to be brutal. We also have tactical missile upgrading onto the comm of Icy Nightmare. He might be able to get quite a bit done. These Riptides still ripping through the base of Neuroxus. Neuroxus taking heavy damage to this. Has already lost one T2 mechs, is under threat of losing multiple more, as there's just really nothing here to counter these Riptides as of the moment. He got away from the naval forces and now is running roughshod over the base of Neuroxus. Does not, I think he could go back and target down that T2 mass extractor, but I'm guessing Icy Nightmare is a little bit distracted. He's finished tactical missile on the comm and he's going to start throwing missiles over towards the base of Neuroxus and Arma. The Riptides still in the area, gonna have to be killing off a ton of strikers. I think these Riptides die here. These three Riptides over here on this side, though, going to be trying to focus down T2 mechs. Is gonna be able to get a lot of damage done this way, and he's killed off three T2 mechs for Neuroxus. Hasn't really done any economic damage over onto Arma, but I don't know if he will be able to, as Arma has at least one buzzkill tactical missile defense. E1 bombers coming out trying to kill off Riptides. Riptide's gonna move out of that fiery death that the Scorcher does rain upon its opponents. And over here, it does look like this area has been cleared out for the moment by Icy Nightmare and Willow's Duality. There was a base there for Thurnis Haley for a small amount of time, but there's just not, there's a lot of pressure. There's a ton of Zooies coming out over here on this flank towards the forces of Willow's Duality, and a T2 air gunship, a Volthu gunship out from Thurnis Haley, is now going to be cleaning up those Riptides after they kill off 5 separate T2 mass extractors. We have a few missile launches out from Icy Nightmare. Still hasn't managed to pick up a kill with any of those, but Neuroxus under heavy fire, and I think he's going to lose his last 2 T2 mechs. Neuroxus is going to be cut down to 1 mass per second. Actually, that's quite the lie. There's a T2 mechs underwater. You can't tactical missile something that's underwater. So it's going to be just that 1 T2 mechs with no mass storage around it for the protection there. A large push now out from Neuroxus. He still has quite the powerful navy and naval presence, as Willow's Duality is now managing this entire front. Probably needs to get some naval forces over here. It looks like the tactical missile launchers managed to kill off the naval production for Icy Nightmare. That's just not going to be very good for his chances here, as Riptides come over here trying to rip into this destroyer. I was going to try the Seraphim name, but I couldn't make it happen. This destroyer out for Neuroxus isn't going to manage it, and there's another destroyer showing up. Units for Willow's Duality rushing over all of these frigates, trying to help Icy Nightmare stay alive in this game. Icy Nightmare being very far forward with the comm, is under a lot of pressure, could be getting killed soon. A large drop attempt out from Icy Nightmare. Are any of these going to land? And no, it does not seem that any of these units are going to land. It looks like somehow a Lobo landed, but that's going to die immediately to a Volthu, as this T2 air pressure out from Thurnis Haley is going to be a bit overwhelming. Is Icy Nightmare in a position to use that tactical missile at the moment to try and catch some of the eco of Arma off guard? The naval forces over here for Neuroxis have been cut down quite a little bit. The naval production for Neuroxis is also being killed off. I'm guessing that's from the tactical missile launcher. Over 4,000 mass killed with his tactical missile launcher. Let's compare that to Arma, who's gotten almost that much with his upgrades on his comm. Arma also down quite a little bit low, quite a low health point, possibly being hit by one of those backpack missile launchers. And do we see any kind of pressure? There's a lot of torpedo bombers, so it could be dangerous. Icy Nightmare could be under threat. Can you build any structures right here? Can you build any anti-air up on this cliff? If you can, that could be exceptionally useful for Icy Nightmare. As torpedo bombers come in, they're gonna hit all of them, but the torpedoes themselves did not do very well. They're not doing very much in this shallow water as of the moment, having a lot of trouble hitting the comm, but as they pass from a different angle, I'm guessing that these torpedoes will have a better chance. Is that torpedo flying out of the water? Is that a tactical missile? That's a tactical missile out from the comm of Icy Nightmare. There's been some pressure out over here, and Thurnis Haley has set up a quite sizable fire base over on this eastern flank. Willow's Duality has managed to mend the economy of formerly JD, grabbing up a bunch of T2 mexes and ecoing quite hard. Going for T3 air, that's going to be a possible advantage for Team 2. Team 2 in a rough position as a bunch of submarines show up, and these torp bombers are all on Icy Nightmare. Icy Nightmare going down dangerously low in health. I don't see a way for him to survive. There's no way he's going to get a transport in, and Icy Nightmare going to be ejected here at the 21-minute mark. Well, closer to 22, but yeah, we're not splitting hairs here. As Icy Nightmare goes down, it leaves Willow's Duality to manage a 3 versus 1 war against the remaining players. Icy Nightmare managing to cripple the economy of Neuroxis. He also was launching missiles over here. I wasn't paying too much attention to it, but he managed to cripple the economy of Thurnis Haley as well. So this gives Willow's Duality the absolute economic lead in this game. Looking at economies, 166 mass a second. That's the highest in the game. And on top of that, it's higher than the entire enemy team combined. We have to see if he can manage to hold on to the map control and keep his chances in this game alive. This comm, the most important unit in the game, needs to probably be moved back. Don't want to get sniped by some unfortunate torpedo bomber or gunship play. We also have the comm of Thurnis Haley over here on the east side. It's quite far forward. Could be dangerous if that comm starts to press forward. I don't think Willow's Duality has anything to really defend. Just a bunch of Wagners that have been building kind of passively without any assistance. Willow's Duality's navy is starting to build up, and honestly, it looks like Willow's Duality is the only player who still really has a naval presence. There is T2 Navy now building for Arma in the back lines, but he's building cruisers. I'm not quite sure if that's what you need at this point in the game. I'd like to see possibly more destroyers out from Arma. Gunships coming in, going to absolutely ruin the day of this Exodus class destroyer. It's going to be going down momentarily, and it's going to be a rough time. All right. Thurnis Haley continuing to build up this position. He's starting to produce Ilshevas. Ilshevas could be a huge danger over here. T3 air has finished, and we have multiple T3 power gens. Well, one finished, another one on the way. We have air production being assisted by Willow's Duality, trying to get air control. All of this T2 air pressure is stopping Willow's Duality from using his navy in any kind of way that is effective. We have engineers over here, Sparkies, going to be reclaiming. Speaking of reclaim, we have 19,000 reclaim for Team 1 and just under 10,000 for Team 2. The Team 1 doing quite well on the reclaim. Of course, they did have to reclaim all of their dead T2 mexes, which is not the best way to get your reclaim numbers higher. As another destroyer meets a very unfortunate fate at the hand of Volsus. But we have T3 Air, we have ASFs producing, and I don't think that any player on Team 1 has the capabilities to go T3 Air at any kind of speed. Arma is the only one with a fully intact economy. And he is going to be a bit indisposed to try and get to T3 Air quickly. Thurnis is the closest to getting to T3 Air, but I don't think he has the economy for it at the moment. And a large naval push out from Willow's Duality, going to be able to try and get some damage done, try and stop Neuroxus from getting back into the naval game. A bunch of Vespers and a couple of destroyers in here, a frigate or two. And the Vesper is going to be doing quite a bit of damage to these units. Let's see, the Vespers killing off T2 mexes, focusing those down. I don't know if that's the right call, but it does hurt Thurnis Haley, so might be the best call. We do have to take into account the ratings of the players involved. Willow's Duality, only a 1200 rated player, not quite as experienced as Thurnis Haley, or any of the players on the enemy team for that matter. 2 1200s and a 1500, all outrating Willow's Duality. Willow is going to be losing this T2 HQ, but he has another one over here. That was a happy mistake, by far. A very happy little accident where he still has T2 tech on the field. Without that, that would have been a game-changing kill, but now it's just a unfortunate situation for Willow's Duality, not a crippling one. The Navy of Willow's Duality still being harassed from the air, not quite able to wrestle air control completely away from Thurnis Haley, but his submarines able to continue to deal significant damage. I don't know if Willow's Duality even knows about the naval production up here. Yep, no idea. Blissfully unaware that there is T2 Navy being produced by Arma. Wow. A lot of talking, pretty much constantly. ASF's coming in for Willow's Duality, coming in to kill off all of this. There's still only interceptors to deal with this. Interceptors can kill ASFs in enough numbers, but not going to be happening with the amount of production Willow's Duality has managed to get up with these ASFs. Going to be able to maintain air control for the foreseeable future. Flying over cruisers, though, does not help. Did I even see that cruiser? Did I notice that cruiser? Did I notice it was Arma's? Because I should be scouting right now to be like, where'd that cruiser come from? The Navy for Willow's Duality has managed to take control of the seas, but there's still a large fleet kind of building up for Neuroxus. The question is, can he build up enough frigates to really fight a T2 naval force? Because there's still destroyers and Vespers coming out constantly from these two factories down here for Willow's Duality. The Vesper very, very good at gaining and maintaining naval dominance, and the Exodus class destroyer, great for naval bombardment. Killing off structures is kind of its thing. There is torpedo bombers constantly harassing this. I don't know why Willow doesn't just send these ASFs over there and kill them off, but must be distracted with something else, I would guess. And we have a bunch of naval factories over here for Willow dying. Probably to that tactical missile launcher out from our good friend Arma. And a naval engagement happening over here between the Aeon and Seraphim ships. T2 doesn't really matter all that much whenever you put your... See, this is me. I'm going to criticize myself here. Why the fuck you just floating your destroyer right into the hands of all these frigates? You're going to lose it. There's no way this destroyer lives. It does tank up a lot of damage, but like... all it's doing is buying time for the Vespers, which could have won this without the help of, without the destroyer dying, to be complete. Well, actually, there's not really any Vespers left. The torpedo bombing campaign out from Thurnis Haley being quite effective in its potency. And we have ourselves the naval production for Neuroxus going down. The only real naval production left is out from Arma. Arma mass-producing destroyers, throwing a lot of his economy into those destroyers right now. And Willow's Duality has stabilized, did manage to hold on to all of this. Oh. Well, that's too many. That's going to be too many buzz kills, but whatever. An overreaction is better than no reaction. We have a couple of strap bombers building up for Willow's Duality at the moment. Going to be able to use those to inflict some damage is the hope, as always. A bunch of Wagners building up over here. Not enough, but Wagners and Auroras. You can send the Wagners forward. They're these tanky little bricks of a unit. Torpedo bombers being killed off as we speak. And an air fight between ASFs and interceptors. The ASFs are eventually going to clean it up. Is going to maintain air control for Willow's Duality. The overall economies are starting to get a little bit more even. Team 1 actually possibly even pulling ahead with more economic power in their combined strength. Of course, you do have to take into account when all of the economies in one player, they're better able to focus it into one big project at any given time. And the number of strap bombers is increasing quite quickly. There's a lot of assistance on that factory, and then we have that idle factory. That's just not good. That's not a good idle factory. Bad factory. Why are you idle? How is Willow's Duality doing economically? Isn't in a mass stall, which is surprising. I thought I was mass stalling this entire game, not gonna lie. We have overall reclaim. Let's check on that again. Team 1 has tons of reclaim, and there's still a ton of reclaim for them to grab in safe waters. 36,000 versus 16,000, 20,000 reclaim ahead. As strap bombers are coming in towards Thurnis Haley, is it going to be enough? Thurnis Haley brought down quite low, needs to get to the water, but that last strap bomber comes in and kills off the comm of Thurnis Haley, taking this 3v1 into a 2v1. Team 1 is here to fight. As more strap bombers come in, that Shift G hit an interceptor in the air. Are you kidding me? He was supposed to hit a Max and it hits an interceptor. Most unlucky strap bomb ever. Hits an intercept. Possibly one of the least valuable things next to a lab that you could hit. An air scout would be worth more than hitting the interceptor, because the air scout is at least useful at this stage of the game, whereas the interceptor just isn't. The mass extractors for formerly Thurnis Haley and now for Arma 473 being targeted down by Willow's Duality. And we have multiple naval units and land, and we have a strange mix of naval and land units over here helping to kill off this production for Neuroxus once again. A large bombing run now towards the mass extractors, which don't have shields for Arma 473, and they're all T2, so these mass extractors are going to go down in one bomb. All 5 mass extractors looking to go down in one pass. And that's going to be devastating for Arma. That knocks his economy down. He was close to 80 or 90 mass a second, and now he's down to 22. Neuroxus still has an economy, even has a T3 mass extractor. But I don't know how long that's going to last with strap bombers flying around all willy-nilly like doing whatever the hell they want. The comm of Neuroxus is over here in the water near some destroyers, or a destroyer and some frigates. Is building up torpedo defense to try and save himself at the moment, but I don't know if it's going to be enough. It does look like he's going to survive for now. The question is, how much longer is he going to be able to hold out? This absolute air control is just destroying Team 1. This went from a 1v3 to a 1v1 in the space of very little time. I didn't mention it, but Arma Control Cade after his teammates, after his mass extractors were killed off. And now we have this image, it's blue on blue violence. We need to end blue on blue violence. Neuroxis beginning to move the comm away from his former position. Air control, it's safe to say, is in the hands of Willow's Duality and does not look to be changing anytime soon. Don't worry, guys. I have a plan. I don't know what my plan was. I was just saying that because I was freaking out because my hands was shaking. Shaky hands. Knees weak, arms are heavy. There's vomit on the sweater already. Mom spaghetti. I love to think of that song in relation to a FAF game. No FAF game is that intense. Let's be honest. A bunch of torpedo bombers being built at rapid speed. Torpedo bombers. Them torpedo bombers gonna shoot down. They're gonna be dropping their payloads all over my comm. We can't be having that happening now, can we? No. Don't know why I'm all of a sudden deep south. I don't even know. That's probably not all that deep south. I've heard worse deep south. I'll put it that way. And we have ourselves. So, let's look at it from Neuroxis' perspective. What can he do to win? You're gonna need a lot of anti-air, which he's doing a lot of. He's building a lot of SAMs, which is gonna be important. Possibly possibly gonna need to get up a, I don't know, like a chicken or a fat boy might be the answer here. Either or could be quite strong, but does he have the economy for it? I mean, technically if he's building nothing else, but with T3 mechs is about to go down, I'm not entirely sure, and yeah, this T3 mechs is not long for this world. One more shot from an Exodus and this T3 mechs is dead. That 700 alpha damage sexiness. Whew. Alright. Scouts flying out for Willow's Duality, trying to find the comm. Looks like we have just found it. Let's go ahead and do the cinematic shot for the end, as the end is nigh. Of course, he's really close to land, so maybe he gets out onto land. Maybe the torpedo bombers don't end it. The comm has already been given the order to run away, and he manages to get onto land before any of the torpedo bombs hit. Do we have anything else incoming to try and help deal with this? We have strap bombers on the way. And it looks as though this is going to be the end for you, my friend. One more bomb. Never mind, he dodged like a pro. And that's the end. Thank you all for watching. Thank you to my patrons, Timothy, Calderwood, Sergeant Slipwith, and Nogthar. You all have been beautiful. Thank you all for not being angry at me in the comments for casting my own game, because if you are angry, you can blame the Discord community, because they told me to cast it. I tried to give it to other people, and they're like, "Ah, no, you should cast it." So yeah. And last but not least, because it happened during the cast, thank you to Idle Betazoid for subscribing with Twitch Prime. You are beautiful. You now have access to the Suck Boy. And with that, I love you all. Bye-bye.